Hello, everyone, and welcome to my podcast, A Pint of Imbecile Wisdom, Season 2. And with me today, I truly mean this, is one of my favorite ladies anywhere in the world. I've known her for 20 odd years, and thanks to her, we reconnected about a year ago, thanks to social media, and that's what she does at the moment. But I've got with me Ema, who's based out of Dublin in Ireland. And when I met Ema, this was going back about 20 years ago, as I said, in the lovely city of Dubai. She was newlywed and she had just moved to Dubai with her husband because he had got a job in Dubai, and she was trying to find her footings, I think, in a strange new world. And she managed to get a job at Disney as a PA to the vice president of the organization. That's when I met her because I was the IT guy there, and we hit it off straight away. And the joke was that Ema didn't know how to use the photocopier. In those days, you would often see her kicking it, and with the selection of choicest words, if I may say so. But I always happened to be next to the photocopier at that time, so I was always there to be able to assist. If, and that's it. And I think 2 years after that, she went back to Ireland with her husband, and then, as I said, I think we spoke a couple of times, but then we lost touch for a number of years, and then we got in touch again, and so much has happened, and I was so proud and so inspired by what she's been doing over these past decade and a half, that I said to her, I want to talk to you. So welcome to my podcast, A Pint of Imbecile Wisdom. It's conversations for a better world, and they're everyday people with everyday inspirational stories. So Ema, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm not too bad.
You're looking well. You're looking very well.
And you're looking wonderful as always. Comfortable in sunny Ireland, I see.
Yes, it is actually sunny today, which is quite strange, because we have quite a lot of rain here. But you know what? It's good for the old complexion, isn't that what they say? The rain rather than the sun. So so this is great.
Let's start our story with Dubai. So we first met in Dubai in, I think, 1999.
Yes.
And what brought you out to Dubai, and what was it like living in Dubai?
Well, I came from Ireland, and I didn't really travel. I wasn't a big traveler at the time. I'd done a few holidays in Spain and France and whatever, but my husband got an opportunity he's a head chef, so he got an opportunity to come and cook abroad, and I was only married 6 months, and I was there thinking, okay, so, and he says English speaking country, because most chefs they go to Switzerland or France or whatever, so I could cope with that, I thought. So we went, and at the time I'd never been to the Middle East. I had never met so many different types of people, and the first couple of months when you're there, you can't work, so because you have to do the sponsored visa thing and all that. So I'm sure it's different now, maybe much easier. So anyway, waiting around, and you get a call, and they go for an interview, and they don't tell you where you're going for the interview. And I remember getting into the lift and going up to the 27th floor of the World Trade Center, and they said turn left. And of course, anyone that's right-handed will always turn right. And I'm looking at it going, that's the Chinese embassy.
The Japanese embassy.
I thought it was a Chinese embassy because I can't remember. So anyway, then I said, no, she said turn left. So I turned left, and there was the glass doors, and I just went, oh, is this a toy company? Because it didn't really twig it. And then I saw Disney. I went, oh, okay, I'll go in. And got the interview with the vice president, and the fact that I had just left Ireland, and I was working at the time for the Irish Stock Exchange. So that's a different world. And I think maybe the fact that might have had a bit of kudos and whatever else, like I got in the door. And I remember meeting like people from the Philippines and, you know, from America and Scotland and England and, you know, Goa. And it was just good. This is really different. This is really interesting because in Ireland, like, we didn't have a diverse community at the time because we're the way in the far corner of Europe, and no one wants to go there except for a holiday, and have a glass of Guinness, as they say. But you know, so
you stayed in Dubai for a couple of years, or just that?
Yeah. It was about 2 years, and then I kind of thought, you know what, I wasn't sure if I want to stay, and you know, you keep thinking, do you want to have little angels of your own, or do you want to just travel on? And I think it was probably the right thing for me to go back, because then we found out that my mother-in-law was dying of cancer. So if we traveled, we would have had to come back anyway. So they say, what's for you won't go by you. Yeah. So came back, and then my first little angel appeared, Grace, and she's actually, would you believe, in university now, and she's doing Chinese.
Told me that, yes. She go to Shanghai or something next year.
Sorry? She's supposed to go to China, but because of COVID and all, it's all been put on hold. So we'll, you know, fingers crossed she gets to go and immerse in the language, because there's no point in doing a language unless you can go to the country and really build on the linguistics, you know, that way. So, fingers crossed we get her to go.
I have my own reasons for her to go to Shanghai, because then I get a chance to see you stop over in Singapore.
Yes, I will. I said I would. So you better make sure you lock those doors, because I will.
Of course. So then you move back to Ireland after 2 years in Dubai, and then you get into motherhood. So the first one came along. Yeah, the first one came along, and I kind of got itchy feet, and I said, I need to be doing something. So the way her daddy worked, we were able to juggle if I worked part-time. So I went looking for a part-time role that I felt that would be interesting, because it's very hard to leave Disney and go and work somewhere else, because there's not a lot of other exciting companies as Disney, you know. But I came across, by accident, I met this lady who was an employment specialist for it's an organization called St. John of God's. It's for people with intellectual disabilities, and they were looking for someone to come and help, build awareness and work, and help leverage the what someone with an intellectual disability can do. They wanted to go out to work and have jobs themselves and whatever. So I went, and it was a totally different, angle for me. And I was marketing their abilities and, getting them employment, and it was really, really, a worthwhile role, and I loved it. And then unfortunately the second baby, where I picked him up from, but anyway, he appeared. And I found it very hard to juggle, 2 children and working part-time. And at the time, there wasn't great childcare facilities where I lived. And so I had to decide, do I want to be working and challenged with time with the children, or go focus on them for a few years, get them to school, and then reassess the situation? And that's what I did. So I jokingly said, a full-time mommy, as in FOOL time mommy. But so got them to school, the 2 of them. That was great. It was about to start, and the third one appeared, and I went, no, this is not working. I'm not meant to go back to work. Someone up there is telling me, no, we're not letting you back in. We can't let you back in. So got her up to school, so about 5. So by this stage, it was well over 10 years since I had been working. So everything had changed, and the photocopiers were now talking to each other, if you know what I mean. The mobile phones weren't bricks anymore. People were on the internet a lot more, and social media started to evolve. And I wasn't sure what kind of employment I could get, and what do I do?
So I decided to do an evening course in web development because I thought if I work from home, I like the idea of creating things and I like things to look really well. I probably got that from working with Disney. So I decided I'll go into web development and did a lot of self-learning as well as the course.
I'll come to that, but I just want to talk about this. So here you are, you've had some sort of a career, you move back to Ireland, family reasons and whatever, and then you end up having 3 children. And
yes.
A lot of women, go through. I think most women go through what you went through. You've had 3 kids, and you're saying, "What happens now in my life?"
Mm-hmm.
And as you rightly said, that it's so common to hear women saying, "It's been years since I've worked. Things have changed, right?"
Yes.
Things have changed. I don't know whether I can fit in back into the so-called career world and so forth. So you went through exactly those same emotions.
Oh yeah.
What did you do then, and what was the plunge that you took to overcome that?
Well, I tried a few different things. I looked at things like, creative writing. Maybe I can go and maybe do, write a book. Everyone says there's a book in you. And I'm thinking, after page 3, what would be left? I don't know. So I find that a struggle because I said I'm not a writer. So I tried different things, and that's what I would say to people: try different things, But I went and did the evening course in web development, and then I couldn't get my head around Dom. So I went back and did it again.
No, hold on a second. You couldn't get your head around it because there's a reason for that, and don't shy away. So you went and registered to do an evening course on web designing. It went all over your head because typical Ema style. What happened?
I know. I had no reason to do one because I hadn't got a business and I hadn't anyone to do one. So I was there going, what am I doing this for? So my window cleaner was at the door one day and I said to him, do you have a website? And he goes, no. And I said, would you like one? And he goes, yeah, but they're really expensive. And I will tell you what, if you do my windows, I'll do your website. So I went back and did a website and used him as my focus. And
your window cleaner.
My window cleaner, yeah.
Wow.
And so did that, and then it kind of clicked in because I had a reason, and I think he got the better deal because I don't know, I've only so many windows, but it was a good project for me. And then I started to do my children's kickboxing teacher. At the time, he had 2 businesses. He is a personal trainer and kickboxing, so I did those. And then I did a local lady down the road, her shoe shop that I knew. So I was building up a portfolio and getting better and better understanding. And then a friend of mine was out with me having coffee, and she says, she says, are you on Facebook? And I went, no, I have a phone. I'm a viewer. I'm not a doer and anything. I said, and so she says, come on, we'll get you on Facebook. So I hesitantly went on that. And then I started to see, the importance of social media with the websites. So I decided I'd go and do a couple of online courses and self-taught a lot of the stuff going forward. Then I went on and I did the digital marketing course, and as I was going along, I met a lady actually at a blogging workshop. The kids had got me a blogging workshop for Christmas, and I went to it. Was in February, and I met this lady, and she says, I hot desk up in which hot desking means is like where you can go and bring your laptop and you can have coffee and whatever else, and it's not a fixed position, but you get out of the house, and you meet other people that maybe are small businesses. And I hadn't really decided to go into business. I was just finding my feet to see, could I work for myself or would I be better working for someone else? And so kind of things moved from that forward with there. And she was a photographer and a media company combined. She did a lot of events, so I went and I learned about social media at events and how that works, and Twitter and trending hashtags and all that kind of thing. So it's experiences, hands-on experiences, I think, are just as valuable as qualifications.
So you do this course completely bizarre thing. The world has changed. You know,
Yeah.
online has crept in since the 10 years that you last worked. But you go into
Yeah.
a course, and I got to tell my viewers this. This is typical email, but I'm saying it because a lot of people might do this as well. So when you went to do the web designing course, you walked into the wrong classroom. You walked into the advanced classroom, and it went all over your head, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, well, actually, that's slightly right. No, what happened was I had been going to a lot of, events and meeting different people, and people were saying, oh, do you do training in social media? And I went, no, I manage, then I was at went to a local enterprise office to see what I could do. Should I go down there with the training? And they advised, yes, go, because you've done training with the employment services you were doing and other roles that I'd been in previous. So I went into the training qualification. The training qualification, I had just Googled it, train the trainer, and I didn't know there was two parts. So I went and did the second part first. Well, and then I went, I was really surprised, because I thought all my gray matter had been gone because of having 3 children. They take your wallet, they take your brain, they take your sanity. But I got that, and I got a distinction. I wasn't really surprised. So I thought, well, gee, maybe I'll go and do the first part now. And I did that, and I did just as well. And so I then decided I'll move forward and go and become a trainer and help other small business people get, a handle on social media, no pun intended, but getting the foundations right, so they actually have confidence, even if they're running a business, be able to do it right. That even if they got really busy and they had to hand it over to someone else, they know what they're paying for.
Correct. So here's the thing, right? All of this happens, and what's crazy is that you started your first gig with your window cleaner. So that was
I know.
But you didn't wait for an opportunity to come to you. You saw that and said, hey, clean my windows, and I'll do your website. So that was great.
Yeah, well, because I thought to myself, well, he's not going to pay me, but because I have no track record. So it was a bit of a, I'll help you out if you help me out, and he got a better online presence, and you could see the benefits of it. I got the experience, and not under pressure of somebody who is saying, I'm paying you for this. And, so I think it was a good barter for him and for me,
So how did your business start then after that? I mean, how did that happen? I mean, this is your FIT, social media marketing.
Yeah, I went to see my dad's accountant, and I said, I'm thinking of starting a business now after all the experience. And he says, well, you need a business name, you need to register it and all that kind of thing. So I was at home Googling, as you do, to see, and I was looking up different kind of things. What can I put down? What would work? And I wrote down the different social media channel names, like Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, Pinterest, and started moving all the letters around. And I got this idea, how can you fit social media into your day? And that's where the F for Facebook, the I for Instagram, and the T for Twitter came. Yeah. And then I thought I need a logo. So I had paid a graphic designer who I was recommended, and I was looking at little phone and little, dumbbells and all this kind of thing. And somebody said to me, that looks like a phone company. It looks very cartoonish. And I went, no, it's not going to work. So I was on the phone, as you do, and you're looking at the messages. And on an iPhone, I was looking at the way the messages come up in blue, text messages. And I went, that looks like a little speech bubble.
Yeah.
And then I was looking on my phone at other things, and I saw this little red app for one of the apps that I have on my phone. And I thought, oh, that could fit into the little speech bubble slightly. So talking to the friend I'd met at the blogging workshop, she said, well, we put together, we did it in Photoshop in a couple of minutes. She made it from a rectangle and then put a little tail on it, and then we put the little box in and colored it red and the blue, and that's kind of how my logo came around. And I just gradually started building up my profile. I built my own website to start with. And, you know, there is a lot of outgoings, but if you can do it yourself or find somebody who can help you, you know, to do that, that can take a little bit of pressure off. But if you can't and you have to do it yourself, it is a long road. I mean, if somebody said to me 4 or 5 years ago, you'll have to go all through all these hoops, it could put you off. So sometimes not knowing is a good thing. But being around the right people and having people that you can align yourself with, you know, trust is a big thing. And there are other people out there that you think you can trust and then they let you down. So you have, that is a big thing, you know.
That would happen anyway in any parts of life. But so there you are, you've done the training on website creations, you've done social media marketing, you've done a little bit on business, blogging and everything else. And then you started your career with doing a website for your window cleaner. Then you started your business. But you today are also the only co-host in Dublin on I think Dublin's only social media radio talk show, along with your colleague Phil. So how did it happen? Through the lady that I met at the blogging workshop, I was going to an event and I put out on social media to say I was going to this event just outside Dublin, and it was a networking event and there was different speakers, and used the hashtag, and I met this guy through LinkedIn and he said he was going too, and I didn't realize that he actually had a radio show himself on the same station that I was going. Later down the line I went and ended up on the same station. So he said to me, would like to do an interview with me with a couple other, startup businesses. And I went, okay. And I thought, I don't know what I'm going to talk about, So anyway, we were with a couple of different GDPR specialists, which went way over my head, and an interior design architect. And there was me, and I'm going, not getting this at all, but I did my spiel. You're trying to blend in with the other conversations, So he invited me back and said, would you come back? And I said, yeah, I will, if I can come back and do an interview with people that are in the same, kind of sphere as me. One is, I invited Philip, who's my co-host now. He's the social media strategist. And then another friend of mine who's a LinkedIn and outreach specialist, Vicky Keenan. So we went on to the interview, and then Joe Dalton, who's the interviewer, said, you know what, we could do with a show that would be focused on social media. Would you consider it? And I went, no, I'm not coming back. And he says, no, go off and think about it, seriously. And I went, well, okay, but I don't really want to do it on my own, I was thinking. So I met Philip afterwards for coffee, and I said, listen, he suggested I should do a show, but I don't want to do it on my own. And he said, foolishly said, sure, I'll come on with you. And I said, okay. So we started off with a half-hour show once a month, and they repeated. And I was trying to think of what would you call the show and what kind of angle. And so we called the show Let's Get Social, because I felt people want to get the understanding of social, but also want to be social. Yeah. So to get it and be social. And then I was driving home one day and I heard somebody telling jokes on the radio. So I rang up Philip and went, I know we're supposed to start this show now next week, but we have to keep everything evergreen, as you know, because they don't know if it'll take off. We can't really talk about summer, Christmas, Easter, whatever. And he said, yeah, so what are you thinking? I said, what about something like social media jokes? And every week since then, and we're hitting nearly 80 shows, he has a social media joke. And I'm like the little emoji monkey with my hands over the face going, that is so bad. But it makes us a little bit different, I think, because, social media can get too serious and people get a little bit overwhelmed. And we like to keep it simple and have a little bit of fun. And like you and I are talking now, that's the kind of way I think it would appeal to people, because there's always something
coming over the hill, some new update or some new platform, and people get a bit overwhelmed. And I don't believe in any big words. No big words is my view. And, you know, just do what you have to do, because if you were to stay on social media all day, you'd get no work done. You'd have no business. So I believe in keeping it simple. And that's why the show, I feel, works on so many levels that way, you know.
So with all of these hats that you wear, you know, what is it that you do now? What's a day like in the life of Nina?
Well, I'm on Zoom a lot because we're on COVID. I miss the in-person meeting people face to face. So for me, when I'm doing training, it's generally on Zoom. And hopefully that will change now that vaccine is rolling out and things like new social distancing might become a little bit more or less restrictive and that kind of thing. I am a bit of a people person, so I like, you know, I don't like talking to myself all day, so maybe I'll make a few phone calls and, you know, I'm, you know, updating my own website with different things, write a blog and, you know, putting out social posts and in it looking for lovely guests for the show, trying to keep myself up to date with what's going on, so my clients, when I work with them, get the best and the quickest way round of things, rather than having to go check something out. I can just go, right, well, this means this and this, and that will, you don't have to worry about that, or, you know, and take away that kind of worry and fear, because I think sometimes the not knowing can be worse, because you're going, oh, should I know about this, and should I be on this platform, and should I be doing this, and half the time you don't need to, you know, because you should just really be on the platforms where your audience and your customers are likely to be. And that doesn't mean we all should be on Snapchat or TikTok, because generally the kind of clients I work with, their audience is not on those platforms, you know. They're maybe a slightly older demographic, and that's why I always say don't have to be on everything, you know. Get comfortable with one or two platforms, and don't spread yourself too thin, and that's how you will build up a decent online presence, you know.
But here's the thing, what really gets to me in a positive way about you, you know, is that, you know, you're not looking for opportunities to come knocking at you, you're actually creating those. So even though you can't go out, but you're still looking at blogging and making phone calls and talking to people and seeing how you can actually keep yourself relevant and, you know, basically driving it yourself. I think a lot of mothers, you know, that have gone through, you know, like having kids and then trying to find their footing back in a world that is truly theirs, I think we'll go through the same thing. So what message would you have to a lot of women out there, you know, who've, you know, seen themselves go past this whole thing of having kids and now want to get back into doing something for themselves and, you know, have their own identity again, so to speak? What would you say to them?
Think about what interests you. You know, there's no point in going back down the career path or working for yourself if it's something that you're not happy doing. You know, life is too short, and you should try something that you feel that you're comfortable with. You know, some people might be happy just, you know, sitting down and saying, I'm going to write that book, you know, and I was inspired actually by an ex-colleague of ours who's just written a book, and it seems to be the best thing she's ever done. And then there is another lady, I'm just thinking of people that I work with, another lady who has a little like lifestyle store in England, and she sells a mix of clothes and homeware and, you know, jewelry and all. And so she decided, I'm going to open a shop. And then maybe you feel that you want to go back to college and focus on getting a qualification that will maybe open doors for a part-time job. That means that you can balance whatever you feel wherever your family stage is, if you're very young children, it's very hard. You may end up having to study online at night when they're in bed, you know. But again, I would say is try and find your little tribe of people that you feel that you're comfortable with, you know, because it's as you go on, I've noticed also that as my children grew, my different, you know, friendships change, because you go to the mother and toddler group, then they go off and they go get a job and you never see them again, you know, or, you know, they go, you're maybe doing the school runs, and then as they get older that you don't do the school runs, and then you don't have that social interaction, and then you can become very lonely. You might want to decide, I'm going to go and join a gym and meet some people. Don't stay at home and be on your own. That's what I'm trying to say, you know. Do something to start with, and it might evolve into something that will get you a possible career or a job, or start your own business or something. My advice is don't stay at home when the kids are off doing their thing, because this is your time to get back on the horse and do something for you, and feel like you're not just John's mom or Mary's mom. You still are a person. You still have things to offer, and
wow.
That's what I think. I'm kind of glad I did do what I did. I probably went around the houses, you know, and when I think when I look at now, you know, my daughter's going to university. I never got to university. So,
wow. Okay.
You know.
So the thing is, very quickly, you know, what were some of the challenges that you encountered along the way, especially, you know, once you decided to sort of get back on the horse, so to speak? Some of the challenges maybe you want to talk about, and how you overcame them?
Time can be a challenge, because if you have a busy household and you're all of a sudden you're trying to, okay, the mornings are get them to school, you know, and you have to fit in, you know, the house doesn't look after itself, so you have things to do there, and then you're thinking, right, I'm going to do 2 or 3 hours of whatever. It's a lot better now than it was when I was doing it maybe 5 years ago, because there weren't online courses that you could do, or business courses, you know, that you could do, and like start your own business and all. They weren't online. You had to go. So you had to work out the timings for all that and see if it's the right thing for you and have that commitment. So I think the internet brings a lot of pluses, and then also the social platforms. Like if you're looking at, for example, Facebook, there's a job section on Facebook, and a lot of businesses and companies won't advertise with recruiters or some of the big, recruitment websites. They'll go through Facebook, because there could be their ideal possible employee on Facebook looking at jobs, and that's only where they're advertising. So again, it's thinking to yourself, what kind of time can I allocate to do this? And, you know, because all of a sudden you might find there's days that you're spending a lot more time on this, and I have done that myself, and you do regret it, and then you say, look, I need to pare back this time. And so it's a juggling act. So trying to get that little bit of a balancing act is a challenge, and that's what I find was difficult. And then getting out and you're having to network if you're starting to work for yourself, because you have to start building face to face and in person, and picking and choosing events. Don't go to every opening of every envelope, because again, that defeats the purpose. You may have to do that, but I would say is like, be very careful with your time and look at what direction you're going, and make sure it's the right event you're going to go to. You know, because you can get easily, you know, made to say, oh, I should be doing this, when you really maybe don't need to do that. You know, you don't need to join a certain group, and you don't need to go to a certain event. You know, focus on what you really need to do. That's what I would say. So time would be a big thing, you know.
Finally, how important is family, like your husband and your kids' role in this? How important has their role been in this journey of yours?
It's been challenging, because you're always trying to say to your kids, get off your phone. And yeah, And my husband, up until recently, would never have been on any kind of social media. He didn't really get what I was doing. And unfortunately, a friend of his was dying of motor neuron disease and he couldn't really talk. And I said, listen, his only outlet, and I was connected with him on Facebook, is on Facebook where he can tap or vote, you know, like somebody would tap his messages or his posts for him. And I said, you could be making interaction there with him. So he went on to, now he's more on Facebook than I am, if you know what I mean. And my kids are like, you know, they don't like the idea that I'm on Instagram and I can go and have a view of what they're up to and whatever else. So in some ways, it's a good way of keeping track of what they're at. And then they start to see, oh, mom is doing this, and they're getting to start to see that it's a benefit to them because, oh, mommy's made a couple of quid today and she might buy me something nice or whatever, you know, that way, jokingly. But yeah, it's trying to get the balance, because I want my kids to see that if you work hard and you make an effort,
absolutely,
you might get them to see, do you know what, I don't have to go to university. And I'm not saying you don't have to go to university, but not everybody's up to it. Like, I have 2 children that are severely dyslexic and one who isn't, and the one who's doing the Chinese that she's doing and blah, 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 where the other 2 are very creative. And so it could be art college or it could be something else. You know, you don't know. Everyone's different and nobody could be put in the same box. But so, you know.
It's so true, you know, because your kids are going to see that mommy's done this and she's gone and taught herself and she's gone and done all of these things. And it's going to be an inspiration for them in some way or the other in their life.
Maybe in about 20 years when they actually appreciate me, but not now. They're just going, oh, she's on the phone again, or she's on Zoom again. But but I have to say it's been a really good learning curve for me. And I just say, look, if you're sitting at home and you're wondering, should I try something? Should I do it? Give it a go. Give it a go. If you're not in, you can't win.
Yeah.
Isn't that what they say? So,
look, you know, honestly, you know, I love talking to you every time we speak, but I said this to you when we reconnected last year, and you told me what you were up to. I said to you immediately, this is so inspiring. It's an everyday woman with an everyday story, but yet so inspiring to everyday people who are in the same place as you, you know?
Yeah.
So I think it's amazing that to see you do it, because I think a lot of women will be inspired that they too can actually get back on the horse, as you said. So
there's actually, I'm just going to say, there's one friend of mine, before we wrap up, because I know you're we can't sit here, we could talk all day, you and I, but she went and did a craft, you know, it was a coffee morning thing, and they were making, you know, jewelry and bits and pieces. And now she started a business and it's all to do with angels, creating like little door hangers and car angels. And, you know, her business is starting to blossom for her, because people, you know, can, what's the word? They can connect with angels in a sense. They understand, you know, it's something that can be quite powerful. And she decided, will I or won't I? And it was from the people that she was with, when if you don't give it a go, you'll never know.
Yeah.
And you know.
You go on. Yeah.
And I think, like, listening to her story, it just shows you, you know, just because you're over a certain age doesn't mean that you're washed up. You know, you've got life experiences and you have understanding, you probably have empathy, which someone who's a lot younger wouldn't have. And you probably have something that would interest people, because, you know, there's someone out there. It's a bit like when you go dating, you don't know if someone's ever going to chat you up or even give you a dance or, you know, whatever. Or do you ever think you'll ever get married? Probably not. But you won't know. So I feel like see this as the next, you're getting out there and you're giving it a little go, and you never know what could happen from your kitchen table to the sky's the limit. You know the
thing is, like, my mom, like most mothers, is a great cook, and you know, I always associate comfort with the food that my mom used to feed me. But over the years, I've realized that she's actually a good cook. and I wish she would just put on her phone and cook and just upload them onto YouTube, and it's just something to give her an extra.
What about if she wrote a book and lovely photographs of the food? She might not feel so, conscious of going on, because I don't like going on camera. I really don't. So maybe that could be something she could do.
Well, she's a 70-plus Catholic woman living in Goa who's fixed in her ways at the moment. So, I'm going to have to...
All she has to do is write the recipes, and you could do a little intro.
She has got all the recipes written, and I think without my sister knowing, one day I'm going to exploit it and try and...
I think, well, you've written books, so you would be the perfect person to...
So,
Just make sure she puts your name in it. Make sure she said that you get some sort of credit on the book. Now that's what I'd be sure, making sure.
Well, I was thinking of every recipe being named after me, or having my name in the recipe name.
I would, chicken to core. Yeah, I can see that.
There you go.
There, So keep me posted on it. If she needs a little help with her Facebook and her Instagram, let me know.
Exactly. It's always lovely talking to you, and having you on the podcast is amazing. You really
Thank you very much.
And
I'm very flattered that you asked me, because there's so many other very talented people that and I'm just said to myself, is he a bit mad asking me? But
there you go.
Thank you very much.
But we all do stuff. But listen, all the best in everything else that you do, and I can't wait to hear more and more about your journey and all the great things that I know you're gonna achieve. So
thank you very much, Tom.
Let's watch the space, Emma.